Here are St. John Baptiste de La Salle's qualities of a good teacher. He is the patron saint of teachers, and he has a lot of value to offer us as educators today. The first quality is decisiveness. Teachers have to be decisive. In our previous video about faults of new teachers, one of the things that's very hard when you first start, and even in those first couple years, I'm only in my third year currently, you don't always know how to handle certain situations. With that comes time, with that comes experience, and that's how you're going to build up some of that decisiveness. You need to know that God has given you all authority to actually teach. As St. Paul said to Timothy, I believe Timothy, may have been Titus, rebuke and exhort with all authority. And he's wanting us to carry ourselves as a person with authority, wanting to make decisions with wisdom, with prudence, with grace, with mercy, but making decisions that are firm, that aren't like these flimsy questions. Like an example could be can you please sit down at your chair? That's a optional command. Can you do this? Question mark. You don't have to. Can you do it? It's like that. That's kind of what you're saying to a student. But, however, a decisive teacher would say, sit down in your chair. Class is about to begin. Sit down in your chair. It's not being mean. But number two, it's having authority and firmness. It's teaching with a recognition that you should have authority. The students do not make the decisions in the class. You do. Don't forget that. It's hard nowadays because as a teacher, you're attacked on so many different levels of that. Like your students themselves question your authority. They see that in the modern culture, questioning authority in the media, in their own home sometimes with broken families. And so when they get to a classroom with a teacher with authority, maybe there's going to be some confrontation, but you have to be firm through it. And here's some other things that can help that, build that. Number three, reserve. Having, as the Latins would say, gravitas, gravity, heaviness. As a teacher, you should carry yourself with that heaviness, with serious, thoughtful, and modest behavior, quote. You need to take your vocation, your calling, your higher duty and purpose to human civilization with seriousness. You got to be thoughtful about it. You got to think about it. It's good that you're watching content like this where I'm just talking about these values, these qualities that the patron saint of teachers 300 years ago basically wrote down for his students. His students were teachers. He founded a brotherhood of Christian teachers. They basically started the modern education system. Before his time, teachers, they were like private tutors for the rich, for the aristocrats. But he taught these teachers, and that's what I'm sharing this message for, because it taught me, it helped me become a good teacher, a better teacher. I wouldn't say even that I'm a good teacher yet, but a better teacher. We always have to get better, and we do that by looking at the ideals in our field. So having that seriousness and reserve, you maybe don't want to share everything about yourself with your students. Like on the first day of school, I think that's a maybe bad thing to do. It's good to say maybe a few things. You don't want to have your students see you as a complete stranger in the classroom. So you can give them a little bit, but don't explain everything about your life. Oh, I'm dating this girl, and my favorite food is pizza, and when I go home every day, I like to just write, and you don't want to overshare is what I'm saying there. Your students don't need that, and they don't respect that either. Vigilance. You always want to keep an awareness of your classroom. Don't even turn your back. I got a lot better at that. If I'm talking to one student, I'll kind of talk to them oh, I'm talking to you like this. I know you're trying to talk to me, so I have your attention, but I'm going to be watching the classroom behind you. Who knows what could happen when you're turning your back. It's very difficult, very difficult. So you have to be always focused. That's why it's good to get like good sleep, wake up early in the morning, things like that. Even one thing was like, just for me, cutting down on alcohol a lot, because you're hurting that sleep, you're hurting that focus. And so like you're having a sharper mind. Like as a teacher, it's good to have that sharp mind. So attention to oneself. Number 5. We're almost through these, halfway. You have to have like an attention to yourself where you're aware of what you're doing. Like, are you basically walking around with like slumped shoulders all day? Or are you like carrying yourself with confidence, with reserve, with, next one, professionalism? You have to be professional. You don't show up like to your job wearing like pajama pants or like basically a outfit for exercise. You want to show up like with like maybe the formal clothes, business clothes, things like that, because it is like an ultimate business where you're investing in these students, investing in their salvation. You're a minister, a helper with Jesus Christ to get these children to heaven. These small seeds who you're pouring down the water, you want to make sure that they have good soil. And so with that takes number 6. We already did number 6. Number 7, prudence. You have to have this sort of like wisdom about what you're doing at all times. Like King Solomon, oh, do I make this decision or this decision? What do I do? That wisdom, that Proverbs in the Bible. But Scripture is an excellent way to develop that. So is praying, thinking, taking time like after your school day's done to just kind of like reflect. Like maybe don't turn on like social media instantly or media. It's very hard. I'm bad about that myself, but just always like knowing what is happening in your classroom. Like, is there a spiritual battle that's happening with a certain student? Like, how can I start praying against that? Am I aware that a student just lost like one of their close family members? Am I taking a careful consideration of that student? Things like that. You have to be prudent and aware. Maybe like this student's had a really hard day already. Like if I could catch them on something small, am I going to do that or let it slide just a little bit? And that's the other thing. Like, am I going to let these small things slide, which at the end of like that first week of school are going to start to mount up like a great army against you and against your order in your classroom? Prudence. You have to have wisdom. Sometimes it's hard to see like the end result of your prudence, but make decisions knowing that you have such a great responsibility. And if you do that, then those decisions are most likely going to be better than they would have been if you didn't have any seriousness about what you were doing. You didn't recognize that you have a gift, the gift of teaching, given to you by Jesus Christ. So we'll get to that in a second. This next one, winning manners, like the gentleman and the lady. St. John Baptiste actually wrote a big manual about manners of all things. It was like one of the most popular best-selling books of his time, even because that civilization, the aristocrats, they were very concerned about manners. George Washington, he had like rules like I'm never going to lift my feet while I'm out in public, like things like that. It may seem like, oh, those are small little things, but manners actually make life easier because they're adding order into life. Am I going to like sit at the table just however I want? Am I going to like put my food, my plate, wherever, maybe like off to my side? That's not having order. I want to keep it like right in front of me. I want to hold the fork the right way. That way other people around me aren't like confused and surprised. And that's what manners carries into the classroom, where your students and fellow educators aren't surprised exactly. You have manners. You have decorum. So, zeal, that's what I was talking about. We can pick back up with Jesus again. You have to have zeal for this ministry. If you don't, it's very easy to burn out. It's very easy to have a spiritual attack against you prevail if you don't recognize and prepare for that beforehand. You always need to come into class like ready for that day. Maybe you come into class like, oh, everything's going to go okay. As the Greek saying says, like, if you want peace, prepare for war. If you want war, maybe like prepare for peace. If you think teaching is going to be easy, then you're setting yourself up for failure. With pride comes a great fall. The greater the pride, the greater the fall. So always know, like, you don't have to be scared, like, oh, I'm always going to have this anxious day where I'm always worried about what's going to happen next. But you do need to always be aware that your responsibility is always hanging above your head like a sword of Damocles. As Cicero said with that analogy, like this sword is hanging by just a small thread and it could fall at any point. I actually have a sword behind me here. Imagine that sword like just hanging above me. It could fall at any point, so I'm always going to be like on the tops of my toes and ready to like move. But when you're a ruler, you have that weight above you. Someone with authority, you have that weight above you. A teacher, you have a great task to fulfill, a great mission, a great calling. So that should inspire you. That should give you confidence that God would not have chosen you for this mission if he was not also going to help you and if he did not see that you could accomplish it. So, ask God for help, and he will help you. Lastly, facility in speaking and expressing oneself clearly and with order, and in a way that the children one teaches can grasp. That's the key point, that last part. This is like his longest quality right here. In a way that the children can grasp. You don't want to walk into like an elementary school classroom like a college professor giving a long, huge lecture that tires out their minds, that they can't even start to unpack, that they can't comprehend. It's much better if you like give them, like a tie-in to their life. Like we're teaching about science. Like I'm going to tie in this lesson here to your life. And then it's like that gets their natural attention. And then you build from that. And then you have to have facility in speaking, knowing like, what is the lesson going to turn out to be? What am I trying to work my way up toward? In the Declaration of Independence, like maybe you start out with a talk about like what the natural law is, but you have to know like what you're building towards. Like I'm going to tie that in to how the Declaration is built on this like basis of natural law that Thomas Jefferson includes that in the Declaration. And so like maybe you don't start out with that like statement. Like maybe you don't even say like what the Declaration is fully about, but maybe like the day before you start by talking about natural law, like about the concept of human rights, things like that. You build your way up so that they can grasp the higher thing and expressing yourself clearly. You don't want to like be unprepared in the way that like you're thinking of the lesson the same day that you're teaching it. Like you do want to spend some time before the lesson contemplating things that can give you like a higher grasp of what you're about to teach. You want to be ahead of your students enough so that when they have those questions, when they have those ideas, you can pull that out of them and develop it. And so all of this, better said than maybe it's easier for me to do myself, but hopefully that this can like help other teachers, help you as an educator do a better job. It's more than a job to embrace your calling with more confidence, knowing that there's an outline of what your ideal is, to be that hero in your field, to win souls for Christ. So, if you want to discuss some of this and other aspects of teaching, have a place to talk with other teachers, join the CathEDU, Catholics in Education platform. It's on a beautiful platform we have where you can discuss all of this. There's also resources there, teachers sharing advice, things like that. Let's get this platform going and to be a tool where we can actually start to, in the same way that St. John Baptist did, he was building this brotherhood of teachers. Let us do the same. And yeah, I'll pray for you that you will be able to share the gospel of Jesus Christ in your ministry of teaching. Pray for me too. I definitely need it. The Sacred Heart of Jesus for the world for the Sacred Heart. May God bless you.